Hello to all you movie barfs and welcome back to the channel. Not many roles in Hollywood are as iconic as the character of the Joker. It's the role of a lifetime that requires acting abilities of the highest order, as well as intense mental and sometimes physical preparation. That is, unless you decide to become a creepy prankster like Jared Leto on the set of Suicide Squad. Like most timeless characters, the role of the Joker has been played by different actors across different generations. It's hard to say which one was the best Joker because they're all uniquely different based on the type of adaptation they were in. But one Joker remains the scariest of the movie bunch, and in my useless opinion, it's the first serious take of the Joker we've had on the big screen. Jack Nicholson's Joker in Batman 1989. Now, the other Jokers score high on the creep factor as well, but there's some things about Jack Nicholson's Joker that just makes him take the cake. Reason number one, his comic-accurate appearance. Of all the Jokers, Jack Nicholson's Joker was the most accurate and faithful to the source material in terms of external appearance, and it's the most frightening one. Now, there are many different accounts of the Joker's origin, and in the comics, the character himself has said that he would prefer his origin to be multiple choice. But the most common one has some variation of the Joker being a thug who was thrown by Batman into a vat of chemicals, which resulted in his chalk-white skin, green hair, and permanent grin. And that's pretty much Nicholson's Joker origin. As Jack Napier, he fell into a vat of chemicals which physically altered him, driving him insane. Okay, well, as established in the film, he was already a bit unstable even before the incident. But Joker's physical appearance, his skin being permanently white, and his hair turning green, and that his face is always locked in a smile. It's one of the main factors that makes him so scary. This ghastly white appearance and creepy smile makes him transcend beyond a normal human being. It's somewhat like Batman taking on the symbol of a bat. He becomes more than a man and strikes fear into the hearts of criminals. Well, something similar is at play here. There's something off-putting and plain downright creepy about a man whose natural state is to look like a clown. No makeup, no paint, that's just how he is now. Now, I know the recent takes on the Joker have moved away from this approach in favor of a more realistic take. Both Heath Ledger's Joker and Joaquin Phoenix's Joker had to paint their faces before their transformation was complete. I get that it makes it more believable that such a character can exist in real life, but it takes away from the scare factor of the Joker when he doesn't have the same natural state as the one in the comics. Okay, Jared Leto's Joker has some form of permanently white skin going on, but those damn tattoos subtract away from the overall look, and on a side note, I can't help but see Leto's Joker as a Joker wannabe instead of the actual Joker himself. If you've seen the Batman Beyond animated series, Jared Leto's Joker reminds me of someone from the Joker's gang, a group of futuristic gangsters who dress up like the Joker to continue his legacy. When Ledger's Joker and Phoenix's Joker have their makeup removed, they can pretty much blend into a crowd like a normal person. But with Nicholson's Joker, it's the other way around. He has to wear beige-toned makeup so that he can resemble a normal person again. That scene where he was applying makeup before crashing the art museum still gives me the creeps to this day. And then we have that smile. That ghastly smile of Nicholson's Joker, which unsettled audiences for generations. Just look at this shot here, and tell me if that's not one of the most creepy things you've ever seen on screen. Tim Burton's introduction of this Joker remains the scariest introduction of the character ever on film. There was such an excellent build-up before the final reveal that when we eventually see the Joker in his full form, it is something to behold. We get the first tease when we see Napier's hand slowly emerging from the pool of chemicals, skin already pale and nails black. Now that image is like a comic book page came to life. Then later, we get a scene in what appears to be the creepiest part of the city, a plastic surgeon's clinic. And just look at this place. It looks more like some torture chamber than a clinic. We see Jack Napier ripping off bandages from his face from behind, almost like the birth of some classic Hollywood monster like the Mummy. The surgeon is paralyzed with shock, and only manages to say, "My God," when he sees Napier unmasked. He's so stunned that his mind doesn't register Napier's request for a mirror. When he does see his reflection, Napier starts sobbing, but after a brief moment, it bursts into one of the most hysterical and unsettling bouts of laughter you'll ever hear in cinema. I mean, at this point, we as the audience are extremely curious to see what has become of him. But Burton is a master showman, and he knows to prolong the suspense for a bigger payoff. We don't get to see his face yet as the lights go out and the scene ends. We then get the scene where Napier goes to kill his boss for selling him out, and here, the build-up continues. Heath Ledger took off his bank robber mask immediately, and Joaquin Phoenix paints his face. Both occur relatively quickly, but here, Burton takes his time. He slowly jabs and jabs and jabs, and then when the time is right, he finishes the audience off with a hook that floors them. Napier is slowly revealed as he's first covered in the shadows. As the conversation between him and his boss continues, he slowly steps forward until we get the final payoff of seeing Joker in his full clown getup. I remember this scene was particularly unsettling for me as a kid. I'd hate dark hallways because they reminded me of this exact part of the movie. Now, all of this is largely attributed to Jack Nicholson's brilliant performance as the Joker. I mean, Nicholson can be a pretty scary guy even in real life. He has those eyes and that creepy smile that just gives an unsettling look. Just look at films like The Shining and A Few Good Men, and you can see how powerful his facial expressions can be. Combined with Tim Burton's gothic style, we get a Joker that's absolutely terrifying to look at. Now, I get that the recent takes of the Joker have gone for a more realistic approach, and that's fine for the kind of adaptation they were, but sometimes I prefer a bit of unrealism and fantasy for comic book characters. They don't always have to be taken so seriously. I still wish that for a future iteration of the Joker, we can get one that resembles that of the source material. One that has permanent white skin and the smile. One that can't ever be washed off. That appearance is one of the main traits of the Joker that makes him a fearful villain. Reason number 2. His reign of terror over Gotham. Like old Barbara Gordon said, in Gotham City, clowns aren't funny. In fact, if you live in Gotham City, you better run when you see a clown. Most of the Jokers terrorize their versions of Gotham City. Let's take a quick look at what each one did. Heath Ledger's Joker in The Dark Knight robbed banks, crashed fundraising parties, killed public officials after leaving a cryptic message, and blew up a hospital. His final act was his social experiment between the two boats of civilians and criminals to prove his point on the moral decay of society. Joaquin Phoenix's Joker killed the 3 jerks who were beating him in the subway, and he killed a talk show host live on camera, which started a clown uprising in Gotham, where the lower class started revolting against the rich like Thomas Wayne. Jared Leto's Joker, well, we don't have much to talk about him because we've only seen a little bit of him. Jack Nicholson's Joker started out with a bit more of a subtle approach, but that was the scary part. The people didn't see it coming. Nicholson's Joker tainted hundreds of chemicals used for everyday household products, which allowed him to poison Gotham on a massive scale, far bigger than anything that Ledger's Joker and Phoenix's Joker ever did. Plus, the way he did it was pretty clever too. To prevent the police and the public from quickly isolating a tainted product, the poison only gets activated when certain products are combined together. Hairspray alone won't do it, but hairspray and lipstick will. The kind of death that results from Joker's poison is something straight out of a comic book. The victim laughs to death like a sociopath and ends up with a ghastly grin on their face. And to rub salt into the wound here, Joker appears on television to let everyone know that the gag's on them. They may already have those products in their homes. Talk about screwing with your mind and making you feel unsafe even in your own home. Nicholson's Joker also did some other nasty stuff, like killing that gangster at City Hall with a pen, but his climactic act of terrorism was releasing his poison gas all over a jam-packed City Hall. At Gotham City's 200th birthday celebration, he draws a massive crowd to him by dumping out $20 million in cash. And then, when there was enough fish in the water, he unleashed his poison gas. By the way, this is another aspect of Nicholson's Joker that just makes him so great. Just like in the comics and the animated series, one of Joker's main weapons is his use of poison. Whoever becomes the next Joker, I hope the filmmakers would incorporate some measure of this just to make him a deadlier threat. Now, I know it's a bit of a plot hole as to why the citizens would even come near the Joker after they know he's responsible for the poison deaths. Or why wouldn't the police just arrest him on sight instead of allowing him and his goons to dish out free money with a Prince song in the background? But putting that aside, we have to admit that this act, combined with poisoning the household products, caused more widespread fear and death than anything Ledger's Joker and Phoenix's Joker did. For those Jokers, their targets were usually specific individuals and not so much on a larger scale. So all in all, I'd say Nicholson's Joker had a reign of terror over the city with a far greater reach than any other version of the character on film. It was both concealed and public, and no one was safe, even in their own homes. Reason number 3, his backstory and motivation. Now this one just boils down to how the characters were framed by the filmmakers. The Joker's origins are largely unknown, and they differ from iteration to iteration. In terms of how much of the character's origin we see, we got the most in the 2019 Joker standalone movie, followed by Nicholson's Joker in 1989's Batman. And in last place, we have Heath Ledger's Joker in 2008's Dark Knight, where we only hear his personal account of his life story. And even then, he's just screwing around because the story keeps changing. Let's start with Phoenix's Joker. Essentially, this is the Joker we hate to love. Ultimately, we see him as the victim here, someone who was born on the wrong side of society and spent his entire life being kicked around. Even in the first few scenes of the movie, he's already kicked around. No doubt a choice made by the filmmakers so that we as the audience would feel some pity for him. Phoenix's Joker is the one that audiences rooted for the most. He didn't start out as an evil person or mean to harm anybody, but if we're being honest, we all got some small pleasure of satisfaction when we saw him shoot those jerks on the train. Now of course, what he did was wrong, and he has to be stopped. But as the audience, we feel what he feels and still see him as the victim. As for Ledger's Joker, well, we don't know much, and what we do know isn't reliable since he's always altering the story. But from his actions in his monologue with Batman in the interrogation room, we can infer that he's someone who's seen the worst side of humanity and as a result, wants to share that view with everyone. He wants everyone to become as jaded and disappointed with society as he was. Like Batman said at the end, he was just trying to prove that deep down, everyone was as ugly as him. So, in a way, while we don't know all the details, it seems that Ledger's Joker was a victim of some sort. Something must have happened to cause him to become so disillusioned with life, until to the point where he just wanted to watch the world burn. Now, let's look at Nicholson's Joker. He started out as a mob boss's right-hand man, and even then, he was already the worst of humanity. His disfigurement from the chemicals drove him insane and amplified what was already inside. There isn't really anything to dampen our negative perception of him, and there's certainly nothing to help the audience empathize with him. As for their motivations, well, Phoenix's Joker actually has relatively little evil motivations when you really think about it. And Ledger's Joker just wanted to prove a point. But Nicholson's Joker just kills for no apparent reason and on a large scale. And that's scary. So, to sum up, these are some of the reasons why I feel Jack Nicholson's Joker is the most terrifying on-screen Joker we've had so far. Some honorable mentions include what he did to his girlfriend, trying to disfigure her appearance to match his in the name of art, causing her to end her own life. Also, him killing his right-hand man with his own gun after he passes it to him. He kills his most trusted soldier as if he was swatting a fly, truly showing just how deranged he is. And this shot right here. Even when dead, he's still creeping the audience out with a last laugh. Again, all of this would not have happened without the performance of Jack Nicholson, combined with the gothic style that Tim Burton was going for. So, what do you think? Does Jack Nicholson's Joker creep you out as much? And what would you want to see in a future iteration of the character? Let us know your thoughts down below. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.